Welcome everyone today. We're excited to be here. My name is Matt McClellan, one of the co-founders and CEO of Hona. Joining with me today is Josh Christensen. He is my co-founder at Hona and our CTO. And then also Zac Meyer, who is CFO and Finance Optimizer at Vineskills. Maybe we're three familiar faces to a lot of you. This is a mixture of Hona clients, Vineskills clients, and we're really excited today to talk about the solution we've put together. We've been working together for years. So Hona, we're a communication platform for pretty much predominantly personal injury law firms. A lot of people know us for our Domino's Pizza Tracker for kind of case updates, a two-way texting platform, a client portal, so to say. But what we've done more than anything is just facilitate interactions between law firms and their clients. We're all about customer experience. We're about clients having the best outcomes on their cases. And then we're also about like alleviating a lot of the administrative burden and manual efforts of keeping clients updated and communicating with them. So one of those interaction points is paying out the client or dispersing funds to the client. And so we launched this product. It's probably been about 2 months now. And right as we were launching it, we got in touch with the Vineskills team. I had never met Zac prior. I know Troy super well. I know Nikki super well. We've worked with Vineskills for years on, working together in technology integrations. But now we have this opportunity to integrate more on the finance side of the law firm on moving money and reconciling it with our accounting. So Zac, maybe worthwhile to ask you real quick. When we first got together, you didn't know much about Hona maybe, but what was it about the solution or the digital payout methodology we built that maybe lit you
Yeah,
up a little bit or got you excited?
we're definitely excited from the get-go, right? It's been my privilege to work with Filevine clients last 4 years in kind of a niche segment of VineSkills where we help folks connect their QuickBooks Online to Filevine. So I've been kind of a finance tech fanboy for a long time, right? And there's a lot of really cool finance tech tools that we can use in the legal workflows. A lot of our clients are using Ramp for spend management. A lot of our clients are using our QuickBooks Connect integration. So I'm passionate about those workflows, modernizing, working well, being efficient. And one area, like I think everyone on this call is probably here because of how archaic the trust accounting disbursements is, right? It's a tough area. It's so heavily regulated. Everyone's kind of on their tiptoes around it. And so it's, it makes sense that it's behind tech wise. And so seeing a modern tool to disperse those funds, to get away from paper checks for your clients, maybe some of your younger generation clients to have a more modern experience, something they're more familiar with to receive money. And also some of those clients who may be less, you know, caught up with personal banking, right? It's a really seamless way for them to get money electronically without having to understand routing numbers and understand like online banking and things like that. So I'm always excited for a way we can plug some better tech into our finance workflows. So that's what brings me here.
Cool. A little story on that. So I sold a car fairly recently and got like an $18,000 check. And I do online banking. I grew up in California, moved to Utah, didn't really had a credit union in California, not in Utah, and I needed to deposit an $18,000 check, and I didn't realize how difficult that could be. I had to call the bank and get them to raise my limits. They said we could only raise it to 12. I said I had an $18,000 check. So it was like a rigmarole of trying to get that check deposit that I've never experienced. And all that to say, in our system, we've sent out over 10 million text messages since our genesis as a company. And we combed through a lot of those text messages, and hundreds of thousands of them were simply around, when am I getting my money? Hey, you said it's settled. When's the money coming in? And so that transparency level is something that we're obviously after trying to help out with the customer experience because so many people are flustered by that. So getting right into it, it makes sense. It was an extension of the rest of our platform is like, it's just another interaction you have with clients, and especially an interaction that needs to be better connected with the case management system. And in this case, I think most of you all are Filevine customers. So I'm going to pass it over to Josh now. And Josh is going to talk a little bit about the pain, the solution, and also do a live demo that's only a couple minutes out of what it looks like to draft disbursements directly from Filevine. So Josh, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Matt, and thanks, Zach. Zach actually teed up a lot of this nicely as well. We've seen a lot of like benefits to switching to digital disbursements. There's three big ones here that are on the screen. Very common way to disperse funds, as most of you know, is checks through the mail. And this is actually, I'm sure all of you have experienced this where a check was either lost or stolen, and it's a huge hassle. This is still a big thing of fraud in America, that checks are stolen out of mailboxes. This is a thing that I'm sure all of you have experienced, and it is a huge pain. And so this is just making sure with the digital disbursement, it's actually much more secure and it's harder to have fraud there. So you're going to have a much better process with the digital disbursements, and it'll be much more secure. And your clients will like it more. They'll have a much better experience with that because they can get their funds instantly, which I'll show you in a demo in a minute here. The next thing is, as Matt was saying, we are in the business of handling all the interactions between law firms and their clients. And where's my money phone calls and text messages are very common. We've heard this come up a lot, where this you churn into the settlement phase in Filevine, and then the client's like, okay, sweet, where's my money? And it's just these conversations are happening over and over, and people are calling in, and you're checking the status of the check, or you're making sure to overnight mail it, which is expensive. So this is another thing, like, apart from the fraud, you're going to have a much better experience for your clients knowing exactly where the money is and where they can track those funds. And the last one is books done by hand. There's quite a big process that we've heard. A lot of accounting teams will have different processes for doing their books. Fortunately, here we have Zac to standardize a lot of those things. So I might be speaking to an audience that's much more mature than other audiences that I've talked to about this in the past. But on the disbursement front, we'll show you a bit on how we solve that, where if you disperse funds to the client and it gets deposited into the client's account, we'll have that auto recorded. So we'll show you that in a minute there. I can pause here if there's any questions, or else we can jump into the next slide.
Yeah, just to call that out for everybody. If you have questions, throw them in the chat and we'll try to proactively answer them before we move on to new subjects. So if there are questions, feel free. Go ahead,
I'll just
Josh.
point out real quick, like, to reiterate Josh and Matt's point, but checks to me, it's such an archaic thing. We're used to it. I always learned how, my dad taught me how to balance a checkbook when I was 13. We're all kind of used to it, but it's literally a piece of paper with your actual bank account number on it and your actual routing number on it, and you're handing it out to the world, And so it's not surprising we see fraud on those trust accounts. It's one thing to get fraud on the operating account, and it's annoying. You have to reach out to your vendors and give them new account information and all that. The trust account, when you have to switch trust accounts, now you're talking about moving trust balances the state bar cares about to a brand new bank account because you handed out a piece of paper with your bank account on it, right? It's like, so I love this electronic method too, because it protects, no one has that account number.
It's a good call out.
Yeah, perfect.
Josh, go ahead. You take this one.
So with our solution and QuickBooks Connect together, you can see there's some huge benefits here. So clients can get paid super quickly. And I'll show you how that works, where in the firm you can draft a disbursement and send it out within a matter of seconds here, and send it out to the client, and they can receive their funds and it's in their bank account within the first few minutes. And so that's an amazing experience. That's hard to get over how quickly that can happen. And it just leads to really good expectations from the client side on, like, wow, I just got my funds. It's a great time to ask for a 5-star review. And then stopping the status calls, that one, I'll show you how you can track the status of the disbursement all throughout in Hona. So we solved that issue as well. Your books stay right. This is a lot of why we wanted to partner with Zac and team at Vineskills and their QuickBooks Connect solution. And then the trust account is safe. We've partnered with a banking partner to handle a lot of the banking connections, and they're called Confido. And so they're going to help manage a lot of those connections. And they've been doing this for a long time, and they specialize in the legal industry, and disbursements is something that they offer that we've partnered with them on. So all these fun benefits here.
Yeah. I know you're about to jump into a demo, Josh. I think it's worthwhile noting, and this is going to sound crazy because this isn't like typical of a lot of technology companies. This offering, in conjunction with Filevine, in conjunction with QuickBooks Connect, is completely free from Hona. We don't charge any subscription fee. All that's charged is every time you disperse, it's a standard $3 transactional fee that comes out of your operating account. And you don't need the rest of Hona's platform to use it either. That's kind of something special we're doing for this group and in conjunction with our Vineskills partnership is as you're working with them, hey, you get an access, you get Hona. The experience you're about to see that Josh shows is actually going to be what you could have without having the rest of our platform. So pretty cool offering, no subscription fee, no ongoing monthly fees. It's just $3 per disbursement you send, which in talking to a lot of people, that's cheaper because of how much labor typically is involved, printing checks, overnighting checks, and all the other expenses that are typically incurred with disbursements. So go ahead, Josh.
Awesome. So I'll demo this out of Filevine. In Hona, we have a Chrome extension that can sit on top of Filevine. So if your team is already working out of Filevine using QuickBooks Connect and they have that collection section where they're working out of, you can actually just pull up the Chrome extension right here within the screen. It does a slide over and you can start drafting a new disbursement right in Hona on top of Filevine here. So to get started, it's actually really easy. You'll just connect your accounts. So typically you'll want to connect a trust account and an operating account. And you can connect multiple trust accounts if needed. But your operating account is the one that will be debited for the $3 fee per disbursement. So that'll come out of that operating account, and that's why you need to connect it. And then the trust account is where you can send your disbursements from. And then you'll configure your permissions for who you want to be disbursement admins, approvers, and drafters. Right now, I'm just the only admin in this org since this is my demo org. And I'll show you what this looks like just to draft a new disbursement. So because we are very integrated with Filevine, if I draft a new disbursement, I can search through the recipients. And these are all recipients in Filevine that we've synced over. And so I'll just select one of mine here. And then it shows, hey, this recipient is linked to one of these cases here. And it's optional. You can disperse it to people that are not clients as well, but that I'll just focus on the client disbursement for now. So in this situation, we found a case that was linked to this client. So I'll just make sure that's attached there. And then you just fill out the rest of the form here. So you fill out the amount here. I'll just do $99. You put any notes that you want here. These are webinar notes. And then you'll select your account. So I'm going to select the trust account that we're dispersing from. You can, if you have multiple accounts here, you can select a different one, of course. And then a link will be texted out to this client. And so you can set a number of days where the link expires. By default, it's 60 days. But if you wanted to make that shorter, you could set a shorter date here. And then there's an enhanced security option, which make sure the name of the recipient matches the bank account name, and it declines it if it doesn't. And this link is secure in another way where we'll have to send you a verification code. I'll show you what that process is like. And then client messages, which you can change on the fly or change the templates in the settings later. So all these messages will be texted to the client. So the first step is actually to just draft the disbursement. And then you'll see that this one needs approval. So that's the first step is drafting, and then you got to approve it next. And once it's approved, it'll be sent, the link will be sent to that client. So you can see there's an audit history as well. So if I made any changes here, so if I made this $990 and saved it, that should update in the audit history. As I review and approve it, I can see someone made a change here, and before it was $99, and then now it's $990. I'm just going to go back to 99, and we can save and approve this. And so that will send a link to me once it's approved, and you can see the status has changed to sent here, and there's no more disbursements that need approval. If we go in here, I'll see the audit log that I did change it back from $990 to $99, and then I approved it. So the client will get a link, and I can actually grab this link as well.
And Josh, while you're pulling that up, we did have a question come in from Octavio. Can we attach any docs to the transaction, like a release of lien, if we are paying a treater?
Ooh, good question. Right now, the only way you would do that is by changing these client messages and then sending a link to that doc. But typically with the rest of Hona, you can just message clients however you like. So I was focusing mostly on if you didn't have the rest of Hona, but our full product suite does solve that situation for you where you can message your clients, you can send them documents, you can receive documents from them, and that all gets posted back into Filevine. With this disbursements thing specifically, that's like the whole messaging thing is kind of going to be separate with the rest of the Hona platform, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and he mentioned, I think, by saying paying a treater, I'd imagine that means a medical provider and dispersing to a medical provider group. So yeah, that flow probably would look like sending them the email of that document on top of them getting this disbursement link sent to them.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so you can send it to others as well. And we're working on a solution to help pay third party vendors like medical providers and things more elegantly, but you can definitely do that to draft a new disbursement, and you just hit new recipient and you can fill out this information. It'll be the same for them as well. So in this section, I can go ahead and copy the link. I was texting the link as well, but I'll show you here. This is kind of the rest of Hona where you can attach files and message people. But in here, there's a link. I'll open that up and you'll have to, this is a secure link. So the client will have to put in their phone number. What is my phone number? And then they'll have to verify with the one-time code to even get access. So once that code comes through, we'll verify. And this is what your clients will experience is they'll see two options here. Instant, where they can send it to a debit card. This is a really powerful one for those that are just want their funds right now. They need the money today. And they can just pull the debit card out of their wallet and send the funds there. Or if they're an unbanked client and they have just a Visa card or a MasterCard Discover card, and they don't have a bank account, they can actually just put the funds onto their card that way as well. One thing you'll notice is there is a fee for the instant payout. The fee is for the client, so your firm won't have to pay anything here. This is kind of a familiar model if you've used Venmo before, where to facilitate this transaction to be instant, there is a small fee here. So in this situation, it's actually a 1% fee and it's capped at $95. So anything above $95 will just remain 95, or anything above the $95 fee is just 95. The second option is the standard ACH process, and Plaid is an option here that we recommend for most people. Plaid, if you used it before, it's literally you just select which bank account you're using and you sign in, and then it'll put your routing and account numbers into this screen, and then you'll be able to just send the funds to that bank account by signing in. If their account is not on Plaid, they can connect it manually and put in their routing numbers just like any other ACH payment. And then they can get their funds. And back in Hona, if we go back here, you'll be able to track the status of all the disbursements that have gone out, and you can download them here. So in this situation, it's sent. And then if I put in my details, this would change to accepted or deposited. And so you can see all the disbursements that were deposited. So that's the quick demo. It's super easy to just do a new disbursement to clients. And then Zac can help show what this looks like, how it posts back into Filevine and QuickBooks Connect.
Yeah, Zac, while you're sharing your screen, we got two questions that came in during that. First one, our bank charges a fee for every ACH payment. Does this get around that? Yes, you would no longer need to be charged that ACH fee if you were using this disbursement flow. Second question, which looks like it goes kind of off of that, the $3 charge, is it for a disbursement per check or for the whole case? So let's say for one case, there are 5 providers. Would it be 5 times 3 or 3 for the whole case? It is per disbursement. So it would be covered. So that in that 5 by 3 situation, it would be $15 in disbursements on that case specifically.
But so I wanted to kind of cover a little bit of my version of the demo and how this hits Filevine and how we can make sure this is appropriately recorded in QuickBooks as well. A lot of you might already be using QuickBooks Connect. This is going to really seamlessly flow into what you're already familiar with. And so I kind of want to make sure we get a good look at that. So I've got Hona up, the full platform up rather than the embedded option inside of Filevine here. But I'm just going to look quickly for one of my favorite demo clients, the Surfson case. If you've seen any of my videos, this is kind of infamous on there. So I'm jumping into this particular case. I'm going to draft a disbursement, and I want to kind of highlight a couple quick things that I really like as an accountant user on this. So I'll draft some small dollar amount. We'll do, an example there. One thing I really wanted to highlight is this tool wouldn't have to be exclusive to trust disbursements. There is also a neat opportunity here to share advances to your client. So a lot of you might have clients who they need money to get by until a settlement. They're in a tough spot. Maybe you're paying their rent or you're paying groceries. We see that quite a bit. Um, and they may or may not be savvy with banking either. That can be a tricky thing to facilitate. So you can also send these from the operating account directly. And our systems can, when we post to QuickBooks and we post to Filevine, that goes to your expenses section, right? We don't hit the trust account. We know it's an advanced. It goes on your balance sheet as an advanced cost, and it accumulates in your listed case costs, right? So you can collect it out of the settlement at the end. So I really like that option as well. Just throwing that out there. And so I'll go ahead and draft a disbursement here for $12. The other thing I just wanted to highlight here is this separation of duties is well thought out. So it's not the case that one person who has access to Hona has total God access and they can draft money out of your trust account, approve it, send money out the door. The accountants on this call know that we've got to have at least two people touch or look at a transaction before any cash goes out the door. So you do have that review and approval setting. You can set up who has that authority and separate those duties really well. So I do have the God authority, so I can jump back here and approve it, but you can imagine that's two different people. I really like that feature. I'll probably hold back from going through the process you saw, Josh, from the client's perspective, but we can imagine this 1240 was paid. I did a 1240 yesterday, so we can look at the example here. As soon as that client facilitates that payment, there's an automation we can build between Hona and Filevine to draft a collection item in your disbursement section. Those of you who have been using QuickBooks Connect a while, this section was formerly called Trust Check Request. So same concept, two different names. If I jump into this collection item from yesterday, this was automatically generated. So I didn't have to come in here and add this to Filevine. What we do add is we add a transaction type to your dropdown options called Hona, and we map it to a specific trust account you're using on that project. So that automatically hits the amount, who are we paying, the description comes from Hona, the memo comes from Hona. And then what's really important here is we can by default have these push into QuickBooks. If you should choose to have a review step before it hits QuickBooks, you can have these initially create as no. Your accountant can come in, review it, looks good, yeah, push it to QuickBooks. When this transaction makes it to QuickBooks, this isn't a check, right? So there's nothing to print. There's no outstanding amount. The transaction that we're going to create here is a point in time transaction. So it's an expense type transaction. No printing, no check number, but it's defaulting the same as those checks you've sent over. So it's defaulting out of that trust account you selected in Hona, the trust account that's mapped into QuickBooks integration. It's always going to hit your trust liability, right? So this isn't going to break any of the methods that trust accounting needs in QuickBooks. And of course, then it's also going to come over with the Filevine project attached. So you've got the full client ledger reportable in QuickBooks. For those of you a little bit newer using our more modern features, you're using project funds as your client trust ledger in Filevine, right? So the same applies here. When this transaction gets automatically created in Filevine, we automatically hit yes. That shows up on your project fund ledger as well as Filevine. So there's that 1240. So it's a really elegant way, like that, adding disbursements into your workflows really effortlessly flows into how QuickBooks Connect works. If you're a firm watching this and you don't typically draft checks or disbursements out of Filevine, you've held that really tight just to the QuickBooks side, there's some options there. We can connect directly to QuickBooks. We can also drop this section in your Filevine, hide it, nobody uses it, and just flow transactions through it. So the accounting is controlled through the integration. So it's a pretty seamless thing to set up for those of you using QuickBooks Connect. Do you have any
Awesome.
questions pop up on that?
Yeah, we have one from Octavio again. If it's a payment to a treater, does it show up as an expense in QuickBooks?
Yeah, so Octavio, so it's going to show up as the determining factor if it shows up as an expense or a disbursement is going to be if you pay out of an operating or a trust account. So any sort of advances or any case costs we might call expenses, that's going to be defined as being coming from your operating account. If it's a trust account, it's going to be always be a disbursement, but I guess maybe I'm wording your question wrong. Yes, it's going to create an expense type transaction in QuickBooks, which is just immediately recognizing that transaction is like a credit card. It's like a point in time, the money moved, there's your debit and your credit, unlike a check where there's a printing, an uncleared period, and a cleared period. To collect my attorney fees from a settlement, I transfer the IL to account in Chase to the operating. This feature allowed to pay our attorney's fees and also advance case reimbursements. You could use this. I don't necessarily, if you've got your ILTA and your operating account in Chase, I think logging into online banking, moving a transfer between the two accounts is as easy as it gets. If there's a nuanced reason, maybe if you're in two different, totally separate banks in those accounts, maybe there's a solution there. But happy to talk through your exact scenario. But generally, no, I think you would log into your bank if you got both accounts in there. Easy transfer. It doesn't get easier than that. So
Yeah, I was on with a customer maybe last week where they were doing that. They were taking, but it was because they banked with two different banks for the operating and the trust account.
sure,
Yeah,
yeah. So then it might make sense. Yeah.
yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you for that rundown, Zach. I'm not an accountant, nor am I very savvy with accounting, but that's pretty cool. We have another question that just popped in. Will there be any downtime or disruption to our current workflow when we implement the Hona QuickBooks online Filevine integration? I
No,
don't think so. Yeah. No.
we don't have to. We don't have to pause the current integration. Like literally, you saw in my dropdown. We'll add a dropdown menu where there's that Hona option. So nothing stops you from continuing to draft checks until you're ready to try out disbursements, nor are you making a commitment to every single client settlement using Hona. You know, we'll set this up. You'll probably try it on one or two, get familiar, love it, and ultimately do everybody, but nothing stopping you from keeping the current process in tandem.
Yeah, that's one plus side. Like we honestly, because Vineskills is going to be doing some of the lifting to make sure this is successful, we don't need to charge subscription fees, but we also like can give you an account whether you have the rest of the Hona platform or not, with a little less work on our end, I guess. And so once again, that's kind of the offering here is we'd love for you guys to use this if it works, which most people like. If it works great for your workflows, which we're finding most people really like it compared to their other workflows, great, keep using it. But if it doesn't, there's kind of no harm, no contracts, no anything like that in place to like get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
It's a
I
low
know is
risk thing to
rare.
try out.
It's a rare thing to hear from technology, from a technology founder like myself. But we've got a tight integration both with Filevine and Vineskills, and yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in the works here. So great. Logistically, would we need to get account/routing info from all treaters in order to make this work?
I think as it
Yeah.
stands now, Octavio, like you can imagine a treater receiving that link, they would select bank transfer and they put in their information. I think you're gonna have some luck with like the local chiropractor, small shops like that. They're gonna be open to receiving money that way. If you're billing a large hospital institution, they're not accepting payment on your links. You're probably doing a traditional method, but it's some of those more local mom and pop shops that I think are gonna like it. And so they would enter their bank routing information as they accept that link. You don't share yours. You don't need them to give it to you. So everyone keeps their bank information to themselves.
We will have in the months to come a way to store like different vendors so that you can have their banking information to if you're continuously paying the same providers over and over. That's not available today, but that is a roadmap item that we're working on because we know that there's some firms that have medical providers that are constantly treating that need payouts, and that would be,
Yeah.
they can definitely do it today, but they would just have to enter their info every time and go through that plaid flow or whatever. But in the future,
That's
we'll be able to
amazing.
store those credentials and have the link for them.
And
Yeah.
that's coming. Like I know like these hospitals in the legal world's a little bit behind, but it wasn't maybe more like a year ago, the federal government stopped paying with checks. So like it's going to follow, right? So yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. One other call out as a teaser would be not only is like debit card and ACH transfers, but I know that our banking partner is working with Zelle, Cash App, and like Venmo,
PayPal.
PayPal. Yeah, to have clients and other people be able to accept checks that way as well, which just opens up even more. Like our goal has always been to meet people where they want to be met, And so like if they're unbanked, great. They have a debit card option. They can still choose a check option if they want through the same flow. But then beyond that, like you're going to get 99.9% of people if you have all those options available of Zelle, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, and
Yeah,
then
those
debit
those help a
or banking.
ton. Those help a ton for the unbanked clients, if you guys are facing that situation.
Yeah, Philip asked a good question, and we covered slightly the answer to this. But have you had any issues where a client later says someone else had their phone and provided someone else's banking info and stole their money? That's where that enhanced security feature completely derails that. We actually had a client call us yesterday and they were super excited that it didn't work. They're like, somebody tried to push it to a bank account that wasn't theirs and it didn't work because the enhanced security is in place where it's going to match the names. It actually does a pretty cool, they call it fuzzy matching, where like if, say, Joshua Christensen, who goes by Josh, his account is under Joshua Christensen, but in your Filevine and in your case, you put that his name is Josh. So you disperse to Josh, but the account says Joshua. It'll do some matching on nicknames and other things like that. But yeah, the link provided, Philip, would only work if they have the cell phone and email address and access to those. But then again, additionally, if it matches their banking information with the name that you disperse to. So there's some really cool checks and balances in place to ensure that fraud doesn't happen.
Yeah, Vivian. So
Well, yeah, will
on
the
your
payment to the
question,
providers
sorry.
well, yeah, will the payment to the providers be posted on the IELTA account on the same day we pay them?
So
These
yeah, how it works is it depends on the payment method that was selected. So if they selected instant, then that would be the ACH transaction would happen instantly. If they selected ACH, it would be just the standard ACH at the time. But when you send the payment to the provider and they don't accept it for a few days, like nothing moves until that payment is accepted by the provider. So you could generate the link and send it over, but nothing's going to move until they actually open the link, put in their details, and then hit submit.
very good. Philip's asking if this product has received the blessing of the Florida Bar Department. Yeah, I mean,
Ooh.
our banking partner operates on disbursements nationwide and has been for a couple of years. So I think we'd know. Also, funny enough, they're based out of Florida. So I would imagine that Florida specifically is well covered. But yes, everything's compliant from that standpoint. And that partner's name is Confido Legal, which you can find at confidolegal.com. So we run the money, like we built all this application layer that connects it to Filevine and has all the things we've showed you today. But our banking partner, which is a big piece of it and where the money actually moves, is through someone extremely credible and that just does this, moves money for disbursements. Hopefully that gives some semblance of lots of confidence. As when we were looking for a partner to do this with, it was a pretty clear decision to go with Confido. Cool. A couple things to cover. We're kind of getting near the end of this. But one of our mutual clients, both with Confido and Hona, and this client specifically, I think, is on Litify. But before going digital, every trust payout at Bundy Law meant someone physically driving to the bank several trips every single month. Now payouts are drafted, approved, and sent right from the office. The bank runs are gone, and the time goes back into the cases. And so other things, proof points is one firm's saving $100K a year just on FedEx overnighting checks and checks, paying for the insurance and paying for some of the other stuff and tracking, saving a ton of money. Oftentimes these end up being much more than that $3 kind of transactional fee that we charge. Versus a settlement administrator, it's also lots of savings in that. And lots of clients do choose this instant transfer, which is honestly what helps us subsidize the cost of it and why we are okay with no subscription fee. Is because there will be, I think that the data is showing us somewhere between 30 and 50% of clients want the money now. And when we say now, it's literally in your account in less than 10 seconds with that instant push to debit card. So this is awesome, gives the clients the ability to get money way faster than they ever could have prior. Or it gives them the option like Venmo of like, hey, it's going to take a couple days to get that money in. So it's a pretty cool stuff here. And once again, a workflow that seamlessly connects to your case management system, seamlessly connects to your accounting system, and meets the client where they want to be met with how they receive that. Just a call out of where this partnership between Vineskills and Hona is what's live today is digital payouts. What's coming, and we kind of already alluded to this, is just getting deeper into the even more payouts. But those two things are live and ready today. And then automatic project syncing, faster search when creating payouts, and deeper joint workflows. We're going to keep building this. We have a lot of clients adopting this very, very heavily. And we hope a lot of you do it today as well. But we're going to keep building it, and we want to automate client communication. We want to automate them getting their money and help remove friction on every step of the way, all the way from start of the case through disbursement, through doing the accounting on every single case. Thank you so much for your time. Once again, a reminder, there's no subscription to this. In conjunction with working with Vineskills, we are actually willing, without using the rest of our product offering. This is a product that everyone who attended this and anyone that works with Vineskills is, we can spin up a Hona account for you. And so a couple ways to do that. If you put me or yes, please in the chat, we'll definitely reach out and be in connection. You'll also get a follow-up email. So everyone who's here, looks like the poll just popped up. So if you click answer now and put in your details, we'll know to get you an account created and get you onboarded and getting that done. And once again, yes, no subscription fee ongoing, no contract in place with us. All it is $3 per disbursement. So when you use it, if you use it, maybe it's just for plaintiffs, maybe it's with your vendors, maybe it's with some of your vendors and all your plaintiffs, just the $3 per disbursement will be what we bill for. And that draws automatically from your operating account when you do disbursements. Hopefully that covered your question as well, Octavio. But if nothing else, thank you so much for your time today. We're super excited to be partnering even deeper with Vineskills. Like I said, we've been working with Vineskills for years. We know their team very well. They support a lot of our mutual clients together. No increase in your Filevine subscription, QuickBooks Connect subscription, nothing changes there. It's just $3 per disbursement, which in most cases, that's much, much, much cheaper than what you're probably already using today, and much more seamless because it all integrates and it's going to save you guys a ton of time. Any last words, Zach or Josh?
No, just a warm welcome to any of our QuickBooks Connect users. Let me know if you want to get this thing set up. Josh is going to hold my hand a couple times while I learned to set up this a few times, but we're going to be equipped to get, independently get you all up and running so we can be your main contact on this as well. And it only takes $3 to try it, right? So like you can try it for $3 and you're going to like it, but if you don't, you only spend $3. So there is nothing else going on. So happy to have a free call, talk about it, demo it again, and get it turned on.
Cool.
Wonderful.
And thanks. Excited to be partnering with the Vineskills team. They've been awesome to work with. You guys probably all know that. So this is an awesome partnership. We're excited about it.
Cool. Thank you all. And we hope to see you on a future webinar sometime in the future. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much.